Welcome to Dare to Soar with your host, Dr. RC. Dr. RC will empower, encourage, and strengthen you. She will help you to soar to your highest potential while instilling hope. Please welcome the host of Dare to Soar, Dr. RC.
Welcome, listeners and viewers, to another empowering episode of Dare to Soar with Dr. RC. Yes, it is me. The space where voices are amplified, compassion is ignited, and purpose takes flight. As we stand on the threshold of Thanksgiving, a time when many of us gather around tables that are filled with family, food, gratitude, I want to just take some time to invite you to join me in what I consider to be a reflective and very deepening conversation today. Why? Because gratitude, when rooted in awareness, transforms into something so much greater, like compassion in motion. You see, this week is the close of National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. It is a time designated to shed the light on two crises that often goes unseen in the midst of our daily abundance. Yes, it is a time to just recognize that while some tables are overflowing, others remain painfully empty. And so today's conversation asks us to just take a pause, not just to count our blessings, but just to expand the table of compassion, if you will. I want you to hold on and just pause on that for a minute. You see, Eagle family, this episode isn't just about a holiday, it's a reflection. I want it to be a call to action as well. It's a reminder that gratitude becomes most powerful when it's shared. We'll explore the realities faced by families that are struggling with hunger and homelessness. The impact or reduced of SNAP benefits, which I'm sure that each and every one of us could do nothing but take a listen to as the nation underwent a catastrophic, and I do mean catastrophic purposes or catastrophic uh when I take that in, it was just heartfelt as to what took place and how schools along with communities happened or underwent what was happening as well. Each of us played a role in this, in restoring the dignity and the hope beyond the table. And that's what I'm talking about, beyond the table and restoring the dignity and the hope and the housing of it all. So I want us to pour into that this morning. As you get your coffee and your tea ready, or if it's just that bottle of water, or even you prepare for your weekend that's ahead, take a moment and lean in to this conversation. Because today we're just not talking about what's missing on the plate. We're daring to envision a world where everyone, and I do mean everyone, has a plate at the table. Now, as we move into this, here's the reality behind the feast. As we move into today's conversation, I want us to just take a moment to look beyond the glow of our Thanksgiving moments. Look beyond our laughter, the recipes that are passed down, and I can have reflective moments myself, and that gratitude we hold in our hearts, the realities that far too many of our neighbors are facing right now. You see, every single night in our country, more than 650,000 people experience homelessness. And that number includes children, it includes youth, it also includes families. And we're doing everything that we can to help them survive. And I do mean everything. Picture a moment where families are sleeping in cars, and this is the reality of it. This includes students that are couch surfing between friends' homes, veterans without safe spaces to rest after serving our nation. And behind those numbers, there are stories. And I'm going to share some of those stories, just a tad bit of them with you this morning as well. A story of a mother working two jobs and still not earning enough to keep her family housed. The story of a child who comes to school hungry, not because they don't want breakfast, but because there isn't any. One in every eight households in America face food insecurity. And Dr. RC is not sharing numbers with you that you can't look up for yourself. I'm giving you true statistical data that you can check for yourselves. And I'm going to give you a little bit more of that at the end. That is proof. That means millions of our families across this nation are unsure of where their next meal will come from. And the face of hunger doesn't always look the way we expect. Hunger lives in our classrooms, our neighborhoods. Yes, classrooms, neighborhoods, even in our churches, and sometimes quietly within our own extended families. And we would never know. To make matters even more challenging, earlier this year, as I just said, shared with you emergency SNAP allotments, the additional food assistance benefits that were being provided, a pandemic officially ended. For millions of families, that meant losing anywhere from $90 to $250 a month in food support. Imagine the impact of that cut when grocery prices have risen nearly 25% in just a few short years. I'm going to let you hold on to that because I'm getting the signal for a commercial break. The title of my segment for this morning is Beyond the Table, Restoring Dignity, Hope, and Housing for It All. I'll be right back after this commercial break, so don't go away.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back, Eagle family. Yes, this is me, Dr. RC, and yes, this is Dare to Soar. Beyond the Table, Restoring Dignity, Hope, and Housing for All. I know this is coming up on the Thanksgiving holiday break, but I just wanted to impress upon all of us some information as we're coming off Homeless Awareness Week, but also going into the break. I was sharing about the SNAP benefits right before the break, SNAP allotments that we have just recovered from, and giving that information the $90 to $250 allotment and the restoration of that. I want to continue on with that information. Now, these numbers aren't just statistics, they are signals. I want to be transparent when I share this. Signals that tell us that our systems are strained, our communities are hurting, and our compassion must be extended further than a single holiday season. Because we're speaking about gratitude, and I do mean true gratitude. It just doesn't stop being thankful for what we have. And it asks us to just take a look around and recognize inequity and respond. As I often say, gratitude isn't complete until it moves us to action. And that action starts with awareness. And that's what I'm doing right now, sharing the awareness with daring to see what often is hidden. So today, as we talk about hunger and speak about homelessness and the human heart, I want to invite you just to listen and tune in not with sympathy, but with empathy, if you will. And let me repeat that, not with sympathy, but with empathy. That kind that compels us to do something, because it's all about us working together. We can transform this minute of awareness into a moment of change. When I talk about this, there's a snap story with talks about assistance. Instead of when we talk about the SNAP, we never designed it to be a luxury. It was not designed to be a luxury. And I know sometimes there are misconceptions about that. It is designed to be a lifeline for our families. It's a declaration that in America, we do not let our neighbors starve. We don't want anyone to starve. It's nothing worse than a child feeling like he or she is not able to eat, our elderly not being able to eat, a veteran not being able to eat, or anyone for that matter not being able to eat if they're not able to sustain. But let me be very clear that that lifeline has been stretched to its breaking point. Emergency SNAP allotments didn't just help families, they helped families together. They kept children fed. They kept elderlies from slipping into despair. And when those allotments ended, millions didn't lose extra help. They lost very margins that helped them stay afloat. And that's where the fires rise. This is not a failure of families, it's a failure of systems. It is a reminder, you see, that hunger has never been about scarcity of food. It's about the scarcity of equity, access, and justice. So when we talk about this, about raising our voices, and we talk about showing up, this is why. And this is why I felt the need at this pivotal moment in time to bring this forth. Because policy is not abstract. Policy is personal. And every cut to SNAP is a cut to the well-being, to the stability and the dignity of our families who deserve better. We cannot whisper about hunger. You see, we must speak about this with the thunder of truth and the emergency of compassion that it needs to be spoken with. You know, the hidden faces of hunger and homelessness, and oftentimes they are hidden, just as I shared a little bit earlier. Because when we think about hunger and when we think about the homelessness, too often the mind creates a certain picture and maybe someone holding a sign on the street, and that's what our minds, are trained to see. But it's a different time. Or maybe it sees a person sleeping on a park bench, but it's not always, we still see those things, and don't get me wrong, we do still see those things. But the truth of the matter is, the face of hunger and homelessness are far, far more diverse now, far more complex, and often far closer than we realize. And I want you to just think about that for a moment. There are children who show up to school tired, distracted, or even irritable at times, not because they don't want to learn or because their stomachs are empty, They are the students who are eagerly lined up for breakfast each morning, not even realizing that the school cafeteria is one of the only stable sources of nutrition in their lives. I can even tell you a story myself doing the work that I do as a social worker, meeting a younger student once who packed half of their lunch away every day. When I gently asked them why, she whispered, "It's for my little brother. It is for my little brother. He doesn't eat until I get home." Let that sit with you for a moment. He does not eat until I get home. And I can tell you, Eagle family, that moment stayed with me, not because it was rare, but because it was far too common. These are stories that you hear all the time. There's also our veterans, men and women who once wore a uniform of our nation, who defended our freedom, and now find themselves without shelter, without stability or support. I've often shared with you, my husband is retired military, served his country for well over 20 years. I've worked on a military base as well as we traveled. And this is real. This is real stuff. You see, the many faces of mental health challenges and trauma or disability that make it difficult to maintain employment or secure affordable housing. This is real. And yet, amid the struggle, their dignity remains because they are proud veterans. I met a veteran once who told me, "I don't need pity. I just need a place to start again." His words remind us that homelessness doesn't erase a person's worth. It challenges our systems to do better, to keep the promise we made to those systems and those systems that they served as well. These are our working families, the ones holding down two, sometimes three jobs, doing this work every society says they should do, and still coming up short. They're not lazy individuals, they're exhausted. They're the parents who skip meals so their children can eat, the families who rotate with bills, which one to pay this month, each month, so that utilities or groceries, hoping that the next month they will be able to do better, that they will be able to do better. Many are flat tires or missed paychecks or one medical bill away from losing it all. They are the invisible edges of poverty when stability or crisis live side by side. Think about that for a moment as we go into a commercial break. I will be right back with a little bit more.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. You know, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, Eagle family. Yes, it's me, Dr. RC, and you are tuned in to Dare to Soar. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as I am speaking this morning about Beyond the Table, restoring dignity, hope, and housing for all. This is a special, I always say special, but each segment, I want you to be tuned in to receive and be able to share and become aware as well about what I'm sharing each and every week. I'm speaking about this topic and I want to continue on. And right before the break, I was speaking about this portion about the hidden faces. I want to continue on. And this next portion, as I delve back into it, I want to speak about our seniors. And I don't want to forget about our seniors. After a lifetime of working and raising families and giving contributions to their communities, too many are forced to make heartbreaking choices, and they are between medications and meals and between keeping the lights on or keeping food in their pantry. Hunger does not just rob the body of nourishment of our seniors, it steals their dignity and their independence as well, because they have some hard choices to make. These are the stories that we don't always see, the quiet struggles happening behind closed doors with them. Within our schools and our neighborhoods, we see, and even our own extended families as well, because we're talking about our seniors, and at times they can be very prideful. Behind every statistic is a story, and behind every story, there's a face that deserves to be seen. Now, when we truly, truly see those faces, we see the faces of a child who hides behind hunger, the veteran who still stands tall despite sleeping rough, the grandmother who has given or gives half of her dinner away. Our perception changes. Compassion expands. You can do nothing but. Awareness transforms into accountability. And then that's when we begin to understand, you see, that hunger and homelessness aren't just issues for the poor, they are reflections of how we as a society choose to value one another. And here's the powerful, powerful truth I want you to get. When we humanize the problem, we also humanize the solution, because ending hunger and homelessness isn't just about resources, it's about relationships. It's about seeing, it's about listening as well, and standing together in empathy in action. As I come up next, I'm going to talk about those who do this work and do this work every day. I want to talk about a group of individuals, unsung heroes in our schools and communities, who are often the first to recognize the signs, to connect the dots, if you will, to step in with compassion. I want to look at the powerful role, and those powerful roles are our school social workers, our educators, and our community advocates that play roles as first responders. So I want you to just stay with me as I go into this. Those individuals, the first line of defense, because our children are in schools each and every day across America. You see, hunger just doesn't mean empty stomachs. It means lost focus. It means low attendance. And it also means unseen pain. It means that a child who can't concentrate during reading time, not because they're uninterested in the subject matter that's being taught to them, but because their minds is quietly counting the hours until lunch. And here's the truth. You can't teach a hungry child. Let me say that again to you all. You cannot teach a hungry child. You can't expect consistent attendance when a student's biggest worry is whether their family will have a place to sleep during the night. This is where the work of a school social worker comes in. A counselor and a support staff becomes vital because seeing beyond the surface. We notice the signs others might miss or even overlook. The same clothes worn day after day, the fatigue that lingers, even in morning announcements, the lunch trays that are clean to the very last drop is gone. I remember working with students, and happens daily, a quiet fifth grader who begun just missing several days of school. And I'm wondering, what's going on? What's happening? So, of course, you have to figure this out because it's vital. We don't want our children to miss school. When I reached out to the family, I learned that they were living in a motel, and the motel room was miles away from the school. And not to mention that they were being evicted. They had no transportation, no stable meals, and were trying to hold on to hope. But through McKinney-Vento, the homeless education program, we were able to ensure transportation, connect them with local food pantries as well. And this was a benefit to them. The student was able to get to food, get meals, reinstated also. Within weeks, that student was back in class and smiling and learning and participating once again. And guess what? Stability had returned. And even with those small steps, that was a bit of success. That's what school social workers do. We are connectors, we are advocates, and often the first responders in crisis that have nothing to do with academics, but everything to do with access, which is a connector to that. We sit with families in their pain, but also we walk them towards the possibility. We walk them towards the possibility. It is time for a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Mike Zorich, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorich, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorich has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Yes, this is Dare to Soar, and I am Dr. RC. Beyond the Table, restoring dignity, hope, and housing for all. This conversation this morning is one to create awareness, and I truly hope it is a moving conversation for you as you are listening and tuned in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe as you are tuned into this morning. And I wanted to pivot back for a moment as I shared how school social workers connect the dots. I shared that it doesn't have anything to do with academics, but I needed to put a precursor in there. What we do by sharing how we connect the dots, it does have to do with academics. And let me share why I want to go back to that I shared. Because as advocates, as first responders, when we respond to crisis, when we're doing this, and I shared a bit earlier that when children are falling asleep, when they're not able to get to school, when they're not able to respond to their academics, when they're not able to pay attention, that's the connecting dot to academics. When we provide those supports for our children to be there, to be present, to be alert, that is the connection for academics. Because if they're not there, if they're not able to participate, it is a connection to academics. So I just wanted to clarify that piece and be clear about that. Now, as we collaborate with the teachers as well, we see the signs of the stress. And just to go a little deeper with that, with students, we work together with school nurses as well, who notice the health concerns like the poor nutrition. We build the bridges with the principals, attendance teams, and community partners as well, because no one can do this work alone. It is a collaboration, it is a partnership. And some communities, schools have become the last safety net for our students. There were children receive not only the knowledge, but the nourishment, both physically and emotionally. Think about it. There are breakfast programs, weekend backpack meals, clothing closets, hygiene pantries, and community food drives as well. Many community food drives are happening right now. Hygiene kits are being provided as children are preparing to or have prepared to leave for the Thanksgiving holiday. That's being done. Food drives as well. Community partnerships have been built. Many of these initiatives exist because school social workers have been the front leaders in putting these together because they saw a need for this and refused to look away for this. Children are going to be at home for a week. So that's important be forward thinking, to be proactive, to be proactive for this in preparation. I've watched so many times as these arrangements have been done, even things like getting bus passes for our children who need to be present every day, for parents who need access, in some cases, in some school districts, for job interviews, depending on how funding is, to help secure emergency hotel vouchers. In some districts, not all districts do this. Once again, it depends on funding. I want to be very clear about that as well. And it's emergency hotel vouchers during freezing nights, mobilizing community groups to provide holiday meals, as I've just said, for families who were thought, who had that consideration for them. That's been done. Each act, each act may be seen as a small isolation, but it's not, because it's all about working together, trying to form a network of compassion that holds entire communities together. That's why our presence in schools is not optional. It is essential. And let me say that again, it's not optional. It is essential, because when we address hunger, homelessness, instability, that is the root of the work. We're just not changing children's outcome. We're changing the trajectory of families, of futures, of neighborhoods as well, because it impacts everyone. So today, when we talk about gratitude, when I'm talking about gratitude, I want to shine a light on every school social worker, counselor, educator, cafeteria worker, and community partner who refuses to let a child fall through the cracks. Because as I said, it is a partnership. It is about everyone working together in tandem, collaborating. You truly are the quiet heroes at the front lines because everyone has a place in a space. Everyone has a place in a space. The bridge between despair and determination makes the difference. And while that work can be heavy, and it certainly can be heavy, and make no mistake that it is, your impact ripples go far beyond the classroom walls. Every time you make a call, fill out a referral, or simply offer a listening ear, you're reminding a child and a family that they matter, that you're someone who truly, and I truly do mean that you see them, you're hearing, you're listening. So when you continue this conversation, remember this truth. Schools are not just places of learning, they are places of healing as well. And those of us who serve them carry the responsibility and the privilege of being both educators and advocates. Next, I'm going to go into a bit more about what's happening when communities unite together. And we're seeing that more often than not because of everything that's happening right now in society. Nonprofits, faith-based organizations creating more and more sustainability solutions to go far beyond the holiday season. So I want you to just check out what I'm going to be talking about next as I dive into this. Go and get you a little bit more coffee, tea, a little bit more water, put your feet up, because I want to go right into this. Community solutions. Community solutions, and that's that action piece. I've been talking about actions, but I'm going to continue to dive into that. You see, in this moment happening in our country, there is a movement going on. I know you hear it on the news, social media. You can't help but hear it. But it's about the power. It's about the power of communities coming together. When we look about our backpack meals, think about how many backpack meals are springing up right now across America's schools. It's not about the charity, it's about the strategy of how it's being done. That is educators, parents, social workers saying, not on my watch. It's not going to happen on my watch. I'm going to let you hold on to that. It's time for another commercial break.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Beyond the table, restoring dignity, hope, and housing for all. Welcome back once again. This is Dare to Soar, and yes, I am Dr. RC. Community engagement. I shared with you Not on My Watch right before the break, and how that community involvement is all coming together. I want to share with you also about look at the faith-based partnerships. When you hear about churches, church congregations, they aren't just praying for communities, they're feeding them, clothing them, energizing them as well, getting involved, standing in the gap, offering opportunities for them to come up and get groceries, literally getting groceries. Look at the community gardeners, Bridge for All programs as well. They are offering opportunities. This is not charity, this is community, as I shared. This is what happens when compassion becomes collective. And this is what we want to happen. This is what happened when neighbors rise up and say, we will not wait for a system to change. We will be the change. This is gratitude. This is actually gratitude in motion. This is a community on fire with purpose. So when we begin to see these shifts, we're wondering what happens when policy and advocacy start turning around and that awareness becomes or gets moving into change. Now, I've spent time talking today, going throughout the episode, uncovering the realities of hunger and homelessness, but I want to start talking about what that means. And it's time for me to be transformed about that, because awareness without action is empathy unrealized, quite honestly. If we want to have lasting change, we have to look at what that policy and advocacy looks like, and the very system that decides who eats, who's housed, and who's left behind. And I really don't like to put it that way, but oftentimes we have to look at it because we have to be real about it. And that's where our voices come in, and they're key and they're important. Research from the Center of Budget and Policy. And let's start with SNAP, the Supplement Nutrition Assistance Program. So shows that SNAP lifted a $2.8 million people out of poverty in 2022, including 1.3 million children. It remains the single most effective anti-hunger program in the U.S., helping 41 million Americans to access some food each month. Now, of course, when we look at that, those numbers could very well, no, those numbers are shifted because my research went to 2022, but we know we just had something horrific, and I do mean horrific, happen. So I wanted to put that precursor out there as well. So as I go on, yet even with access, its success, SNAP faces barriers with work requirements that exclude vulnerable groups, complex eligibility, that exclude that have insufficient benefits levels that don't keep up with the cost of living. Doesn't keep up with the cost of living. That's why advocates are pushing for expansions under the 2024 Farm Bill, the legislation that determines how SNAP and other nutrition programs operate. Key proposals: raising benefits amounts, eliminating access test, expanding eligibility. You see, these changes are just not handouts, they're hand ups when we talk about this. Next, let's talk about housing policies that can be changed. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban, which is HUD, and 2024 Annual Housing Assessment report found more than 653,000 people experienced homelessness on a single night, the highest number over a decade. Over a decade of those, nearly 30% are families and children. You see, so to address this crisis, several legislative efforts are underway right now. The Affordable Housing Credit Income Act, which would, just to give you a little background, which would expand the low-income housing tax credit, preserving an estimated 2 million affordable homes. 2 million. The eviction crisis, just to give you a little context of that. designed to prevent homelessness by funding emergency rental assistance. The Housing First model. Now, of course, all of these things are contingent upon approval, and I want to put that out there as well. Contingent upon approval. So we have to wait and see. And that's why voices matter. When it's time for voting for your congressman, legislator, senator, it is important to get out there to have your vote counted. And please read carefully what you're voting for. That is so, so important. Then you're talking about the National Alliance to End Homelessness. You have to read these bills so carefully and closely and pay attention. Pay attention to whom you're voting for when it's time. And Dr. RC is not telling you who to vote for. That is absolutely totally up to you. You have the freedom and the right to vote for whomever it is that you choose. But be clear about the direction in which you're going for, and make sure whomever it is, they are representing you well when you do that, because that is key and that is important. Make sure they're representing what you stand for, your values. That is going to be important. And for schools, the McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Assistance remains to be the cornerstone to support our children, our youth experiencing homelessness. Of course, it ensures that every child, regardless of housing status, has the right to attend and enroll and succeed in schools. But here's the challenge with it. While the number of unidentified homeless students has risen more than 30% over the last decade, funding has not kept pace. It has not kept the pace. And that in itself, that's why national advocates, including social work organizations, national homeless educations, are calling for increase on federal funding. Those are key elements. Calling for bills to expand things like the transportation services, the outreach services, and access to mental health services as well. These are key so that our children can receive the benefits that they need, the assistance that they need. That is key. So what is it that we can do? Here are 3 ways we can turn this around. Awareness into advocacy. We can turn it around because policy shifts when we speak out and we're persistent about it. Call and write your legislators. Support your local organizations. Share knowledge and stories. It is time for another commercial break. I have a little bit more to share when we return. Remember those 3 things. Call, write your legislators, support local organizations, and share the knowledge and the stories. I'll see you after the commercial break.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as Dr. R.C. will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com.
Welcome back once again. I'm preparing for my closeout. Yes, it's me, Dr. RC, and this is Dare to Soar. Beyond the Table, restoring dignity, hope, housing for all. Advocacy in action is the bridge between compassion and change. You see, you don't have to stand on Capitol Hill to make a difference. Every email, every conversation, every community meeting is a step towards justice. It truly is. Because honestly, at the end of the day, we don't need charity, we need commitment. Commitment to equity, to access, and to the belief that every person deserves a fair chance. So as we prepare and getting ready to prepare closeout for the National Hunger and Home Awareness Week, remember your voices, they matter. They truly, truly do. Speak up. Use that voice. Use those vocal cords that you have. Policy changes start with personal conviction. Let's turn gratitude into movement and compassion into momentum. You have the ability to do just that. Don't short-sight yourselves. I want to continue to talk about this conversation as we go on. I want you to take a moment and picture your Thanksgiving table full of vibrant, overflowing with love and memory and meaning. And imagine extending that table one more seat, one more plate, one more opportunity to wrap someone with warmth and love and belonging. This season is not about abundance alone. It's about accountability. It's about saying, if I have enough, I can share. If I have a voice, I can speak. If I have strength, I can serve. Because when we rise by lifting others, we transform by including others. And when we build stronger communities by refusing to leave anyone outside the circle we are caring. We let our gratitude be bold. Let your generosity be fierce. Let your compassion be courageous. Because when you extend your table, you extend hope. You truly do. And hope, my friends, is the greatest feast of all. Know that gratitude is not passive. Gratitude is power. And power Howard was never meant to sit quietly at the table. If one child is hungry, we are not done. If one family is unhoused, we are not done. If one voice goes unheard, we are absolutely not done. We are a people of purpose, of compassion, a people who know how to rise, how to fight, and how to transform our communities from the inside out. So this Thanksgiving, don't just count blessings, multiply them. Don't just talk about gratitude, live it out loud. Don't just hope for change, be the change, ignite the change, lead the change. Because when communities rise, systems shift. When compassion sparks, action just moves forward, justice moves forward. And when we dare to soar together, there is no limit what we can build, what we can heal, what we can transform. This is our moment. This is our movement. And this is our mandate to see people, to serve people, to stand for people. Thank you so much for joining me today for this powerful, powerful conversation. I will be posting a resource list on my YouTube channel for you all to have. And until next time, keep daring to soar higher together. always. And always remember to never be afraid to elevate to new heights as you spread your wings and dare to soar. Happy, happy Thanksgiving. Be safe, take care, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
This has been Dare to Soar with your host, Dr. RC. Come take a ride and soar to your highest level possible each week on Dr. RC's Dare to Soar.